All right, everyone. Let's get comfortable here. I think we're live. Let's check. This is my first time doing a live down in my basement with my new podcasting equipment. So we're just going to check online right now and see if we are live. It says we're live. Let's see. It doesn't let me click. Why doesn't it let me watch? My channel, I should be able to watch. Well, I'm going to have to figure out a way to get on here because if I don't, then I can't see your questions. So let's figure this out for a second, everyone. Pardon the first time trying to do this here. Let's see if I, you know what I'm going to try to do real quick? Give me 1 sec. I'm going to try to log in. Not on my channel. We'll log in somewhere else. Here we go. Okay. Oh, you guys can still see my foot? I was hoping that you didn't see my feet. I'm nice and comfortable right here. I'll move my big toe for you. Nobody wants to look at my big toe the whole time. All right. Thanks, Dan. I know I'm really comfortable. If I cross my feet, if I do that, my toe is in the way. So now I can't cross my feet. Well, that's a little bit disappointing. But anyways, we're up here. We're going to recommend. Sorry, I saw recommend in the question. So we're going to answer some questions tonight. I've got actually. I have a really bad back issue right now. Like I literally am having a hard time. That's why I'm laying down so low right now, where my head is so far from the top here. I'm sprawled. It's also why you can see my toe. I was playing. This is how I know I'm almost 40. I was playing outside. My daughter wanted to hit, so I was throwing to her, and then she was like, all right, I'm going to hit the ball, and you play defense, and you've got to get the ball and tag me out before I score. And so she hit it, and I fielded the ball, and I went to tag her, and she made like a little move. She's 7. She made like a little move, and I had to like make a little move to tag her. And I went, ooh, and I felt something go in my low back, and I can't walk today. So, yeah, let's see. The only bad thing about this is that I need a place for. Hold on 1 second. Let me grab this so I can put the questions up here. Hold on 1 sec. Oh, sorry about that. I'm gonna just knock my microphone. Okay, let's put this here. That way I can see the questions. There we go. How's the audio? Audio okay? If everyone could give the video a like too, that would be awesome. And I would love it if my phone would stay up right here. Okay. It is tough getting old. You're right about that. Yeah, I wish the chat was a little bit bigger. Oh, sorry. Put my big toe in the way again. Son of a... How am I going to do this? I got to be able to lay more comfortably. Can you see my toes now? Hopefully you can't. All right. Let's open up the chat. If everyone could give a thumbs up, that'd be great. Or like the video. I'll sit up a little bit higher. There we go. Yeah, this is rough on my back. Okay, let's answer some questions here. Yeah, it looks a little strange. My head's so low on the camera, but sorry, I can't. I'll try to sit up a little bit further, but that hurts. I did see that they added Ohtani in Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. My son did until he got it taken away from him because he can't control himself when he plays it. He becomes like a crackhead. Why don't I run the bases in the show? That's a good question. I forgot to turn it on. And typically everyone behind me does strike out, so that does make it a little bit not as fun. Also, while we talk tonight, I'm going to play a little bit of Road to the Show. Or excuse me, not Road to the Show. Well, I'm going to play a little Diamond Dynasty. Actually, Kyle Priest, Nick Palma, and I played a co-op game today. First time I ever did that. And we won. I hit a homer. I was pretty excited about that. Okay, best advice about baseball Trout. So I'm going to slowly just work through your guys' questions and girls' questions. And like I said, while I do that, we are going to, or I guess we're not going to, I am going to play. So my best recommendation when it comes to tryouts is probably this. Probably easier said than done also, but I just actually talked to our players because our last winter workout was only a couple of nights ago. And I talked to our players about all the things that I think are important as far as making sure that you're the first one to get there, the last one to leave, you're up in line, you look professional, shirt's tucked in, hat on, like all of those things, making sure that you're helping coaches with anything they need, that you're a leader, that you're staying away from people that might distract you. So many times at tryouts, I see, people go with their friends and maybe your friend isn't as committed as you are to baseball. And so they start kind of goofing around or talking and distracting you. So I gave them that talk. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to tryouts is I think that you've put in so much work, or you should have at least. If you didn't, then you're probably in trouble. But you've put in so much work and practice to prepare for tryouts. When you get to tryouts, just like when you play in a game, like just go, man. Like he says in Dumb and Dumber, is it? Like just play, have fun. Don't think about things. Like the players that I see struggle in tryouts are the players that are so worried about who's watching them and what is coach thinking and what are the other players doing. I'm a shortstop. What's that other shortstop doing over there? Did he field that ball right? How's he hitting in the cage? And they're worried about like all these things. I always talk about control the controllables and don't worry about the things that you can't control. It's the same exact thing in tryouts. So just worry about what's the drill call for, and then you're just 100% focused on doing what you've done in practice a million times before. If it's a ground ball, I fielded this ground ball a million times. Doesn't matter that I'm trying out. Doesn't matter that people are watching me. You just try to like ignore all that stuff and just play. So that's usually my advice. And just like have fun. Some players put so much pressure on themselves and then they don't do well. And as a coach, again, you can see the players that are pressing out there. And unfortunately, I know some players are good players, but they're putting too much pressure on themselves. So that's my biggest advice when it comes to tryouts. Let's see another question. I appreciate that. Your favorite YouTuber. Yeah, so my DMs, couple things about my DMs. I get like a million DMs a day. And so I'm really bad at answering my DMs. I almost never go through my DMs. So that's a really bad way to get a hold of me. Best way is email. I know you said you're trying to get out here to see me. I'm assuming, let me see, where did that one go? I'm not sure if that's I can't see it so little. I can't see who is saying that, but I don't know if it's to work with me. I unfortunately am so backed up right now. Like I can't even do a lesson right now. So, but yeah, I'm DMs are I'm really bad with DMs. I just have too many social media things. I have too much stuff going on that like I have a hard enough time even posting on social media at this point. Yeah, so for our national teams, which basically are 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, we basically put together teams outside of our season. So once our season ends, we're putting together teams that they do have players from all over the country. We do have a lot of our players playing as well, but then we also have players from, I don't know how many states at this point we have. We have like California, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. I don't know, lots of states. So we have put together a lot of those rosters. So Kyle Priest is actually in charge of that. I'm not putting the rosters together. I have so many other things going on right now. Kyle and I do talk about the rosters, and he gets a lot of emails from people, wanting to play. So if you want to play on that, I do think we might still have a spot or two, depending on the teams. If you want to email me, same thing, matt@antonellibaseball.com. Just shoot me an email, and I will see if we have a spot open. Okay, what age did my son start travel ball, and what age do I recommend? So my son started last year as a 9-year-old. Antonelli baseball starts at 10U, but I was the coach of our 10U team last year, and he was good enough to play on the team. He did fine. He didn't struggle, but he was not, he wasn't the best player on the team or anywhere close to it. But it was a good fit for him. He's also really big for his age. If he couldn't handle it, then I wouldn't have had him do it. But I thought that he could handle it, and he did fine. He's going to repeat 10U this year. So he started as a 9U. And then what age do I recommend? So it's a good question. I'll say this. I think I'll just speak from my son's perspective. I like him playing travel ball. He likes playing, first off. And I like it because it is nothing against Little League, but it is a higher level of play than Little League. And so, baseball is one of his favorite sports, and he wants to improve at it. And he wants to challenge himself. And so that's the reason he plays, because he's able to play against better players, play with better players. And usually I say get good coaching. I am his coach, so I guess he gets decent coaching. But those are the reasons why, again, he plays. And I think if you have a son that's interested in playing and they want to play, I mean, those are usually the reasons why I would have someone play. They want to play with good players, play against good players. They want to get good coaching. They want to develop. They want to have fun. Who should I start pitching in this game right here? I'm going to pitch Crochet. No, you know what? I got to fix my team up a little bit here. Had jeans and a polo shirt for Tryout. So I actually do remember that when I was coaching at St. John's Prep, actually probably even at Fenwick, we would always have a player come out in a collared shirt. So I would recommend wearing baseball pants to tryouts. I'd recommend wearing a hat. I got to turn the TV down a little bit. Baseball pants, a hat, shirt tucked in. Those are my general rules. No polo shirt. Yeah, so my son is getting big. We actually went and hit today a little bit, even though my back hurt so much I could barely stand up. I gave him some flips and I threw some BP, and he was struggling today. He was all flustered. So first time that we've been able to get outside. The field is still kind of wet and soft, and it's cold outside. We went out at like 5 o'clock, I think, and it was starting to get a little bit dark. Sun was going behind the trees. Yeah, and he was struggling. He was like popping everything up to left field. Not popping up to left field, but kind of hitting a lot of fly balls to left, ground balls to right. So we were talking about his swing a little bit. He was a little bit down. So he's excited to get the practice tomorrow to work on some stuff. But I am looking forward to the season. Our season starts in a couple of weeks. We've been practicing 2 days a week for winter training. And then we can't go outside yet because who's texting me? Probably, nope. Coach Nick Palmer texting me. So we're excited to get outside finally. We probably won't get out. Fields are still, a lot of them aren't open yet. We've had snow all winter, and it rained a ton a couple days ago, and it's supposed to rain like another half an inch or an inch on Friday. So we probably won't get out for another week, maybe longer. Hopefully we're able to get out there. We need a couple of warm days. Okay, so Jason asked a question. How do MLB players get ready to play with the extreme time change that the Dodgers and the Cubs just went through? So I actually did play in China. So when I was with the Padres, we played the first ever game in China, first ever Major League Baseball game in China. We played against the Dodgers. I just said that. And so the way that we did it, it was a long flight. We flew from, where did we fly? We went up to Washington, someplace. We flew someplace in the Northwest. Can't remember if we landed in Seattle or where we landed. And then we took off again to China. And it was like a long flight. I think we flew like 13 or 14 hours, something like that. So it is weird with the time change and the flight and all that. And the way that you kind of get used to it is we went out early. So I don't know when the Dodgers and Cubs went out there, but you go out a couple days early, you practice, and then you try to get back on the right sleep schedule, which can be difficult. The hardest thing for me in China when I went was that I hated the food. The food was, no offense, but I mean, it was terrible. I'm a really picky eater also, but so I had McDonald's, there was a McDonald's near our hotel, and I ate that like 3 times a day. And it didn't even taste good. It didn't taste like a normal McDonald's. So that was the hardest part for me. The bad food, long flight. It's tough, but you figure it out. I'm going to send them right there. I'm going to send them home. You guys can't see it, but I just scored. Let's see. Richie Givens. Forgot about Richie. What pitching techniques do you recommend? So I don't know if I subscribe to a specific pitching technique. I'm not sure. So I follow. If you go online, there's a bunch of people online actually that do a good job with pitching. I mean, you can follow driveline stuff. You can follow tread, athletic stuff. I follow a lot of different people. I've talked with a lot of different people about pitching. Our pitching coordinator is Nick Lepore. He works with all our pitchers. Juan Rivera used to be basically in that same position before he got a job with the Red Sox. Juan's taught me a lot about pitching. So I don't know if I subscribe to like one thing. It's the same thing with hitting. It's basically just I've taken bits and pieces from all the people that I've worked with, coached with, been coached by, players that I played with and against. And then you just kind of put it all together and sorry, I had to make a play right there. Oh, got him. Good play. Let's see. My kid struggled today, 0 for 5, and was pissed. Gonna have days like that. Yeah. So one thing I talk to my son a lot about is understanding that baseball is hard and that one of the keys to being a really good baseball player is being really good at dealing with failure. And if you can't handle failure, it's really hard to be a good baseball player because it is a game of failure and it beats you up mentally, and it will take a toll on you. And it's really hard. Like, I say that, and the good thing about playing is that that no matter how much I say that, because I used to tell myself the same thing, or at least try to, it's still going to bother you. But I think if you can explain it to them, not that they're not going to get mad, they're still going to be upset and they're still going to get pissed when they don't do well. But I do think when they have an understanding of how hard their game really is, and that failure is actually, it's normal, I think that it helps them. The one good thing I will say about, my son, and everyone's wired differently, is that he seems to be able to deal with failure pretty good. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because we've talked about it a lot. Maybe that's helped a little bit, but I do think a lot of it is just kind of a little bit how they're wired. And he seems to just bounce back pretty quickly and doesn't get down too easily. So, and again, if you're the opposite of that, then baseball does become really tough. Oh my God, Teddy Ballgame almost just killed the pitcher there. Let's see, getting a lot of questions here. Is Video Game Matt getting out of the minors this year? Yeah, so Video Game Matt probably is. One thing that's different about this spring than in the springs of the past 8-9 years is that I am not coaching high school baseball this year. It's the first year. It's the first year since I have been out of playing pro ball that I'm not coaching in the spring. My first year out of pro ball was 2000. I got released in 2013. So in the spring of 14, I was coaching at Wake Forest. The spring of 15, I was coaching at Holy Cross. So I did 2 years of college. And then the spring of 16, I began coaching high school. And then I did high school every spring until this spring. This is the first year I decided not to do it. So I've got a lot more free time on my hands. I say I got a lot more free time. I don't have a lot of free time. I have more free time than I've had in the past because it's still, Antonelli baseball takes up a ton of my time. Horrible base running right there by me, by the way. I had runners at second and third. They were playing the infield back. I hit a ground ball to first. I didn't tell my runner at third to go home, and he just stayed at third base and didn't score. But it doesn't matter because I just doubled in. Next guy doubled. Yeah, started last week in Kentucky, Southern Ohio. That's great. We we had a ton of snow, and then we just got a couple of warm days in a row that melted the snow, thankfully. So let's see. Does MLB need a cap and a floor? I don't claim to be an expert when it comes to, salary caps and all that stuff, and I know, like, even in sports like the NFL, right? The NFL has a salary cap, but a lot of people say like the cap is crap and that you're able to maneuver your way around it. And again, I am not an expert when it comes to that. So, but I do think, I personally do feel like you want to make sure that if you have a couple of teams like the Dodgers have shown that they will spend whatever they want to spend, whatever they need to spend. You've got a handful of teams that will do that. Dodgers seem to have taken it to a new level. I do think it makes it really difficult for teams like the A's and the Rays and the Pirates and the Royals, and I don't know who else is in that, but the small market teams, I just feel like it does make it quite difficult to compete with that. And the whole idea of a floor and just making sure that teams, you are forcing teams to spend some money, because there are some teams out there that, with the luxury tax right now, there are teams, like that are paying those big market teams that are over the luxury tax, or that are paying a lot in luxury tax, like that money's going towards some of the small market teams, and some of them aren't spending money on players. They're just kind of almost like pocketing the money. I don't know the exact dynamics. I just know that they could be spending more money. Some just choose not to. So I do think you want to make sure that you're forcing some of those teams to spend the money that they are getting from some of the big market teams. So I would be for that. Again, I'm not an expert. Advice in the college recruiting process. So we just had actually a long college recruiting talk with all of our Antonelli baseball families. There's so much that can go into it. I mean, I gave a talk and I literally was talking as fast as I could. And I talked for I think we did an hour and a half talk. And I feel like I just barely was brushing, it was very, very surface. I don't want to say surface level because we went into some detail, but we could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours about the recruiting process. So, I don't know exactly what direction I would go in if I had to give you a 2-minute talk on it or a 1-minute talk to help you. But I'm going to try my best to do it right now. I think the biggest things that you can do, one, you have to, where do I want to start? Oh my God, Byron Buxton just hit a ball 9,000 feet. I think it might go out of the stadium. 460. I would say this. One, figure out what schools you want to go to academically and socially. Two, figure out how good you are baseball-wise and where you can play, whether you have someone that can watch you and evaluate you, or you can just start sending out a bunch of video of yourself. So get good videos, send it out to a ton of schools at all different areas or all different division levels, and see who replies with genuine interest. Not like camp invites or any of that, but like genuine interest. That want to talk more, that want to jump on a phone call with you, that want to, for you to send them your schedule so they can watch you play in high school. I think that's like the easiest place to start. Once you do all that, now you can start to have some conversations. And really it all comes down to, one, it comes down to how good you are. Like, you've got to be a good player. You've got to have a skill set that colleges want. And then two, you've got to do a good job of, getting exposure. And exposure literally comes in like a million different ways. But an easy way to do it right now is just use video and get your video on YouTube, get it on X, and put an email together and send it over to colleges, and you can DM colleges. Like, that's some easy stuff that you can do. So that's like a really fast talk, but hopefully that helps you out. No Panda Express. I miss Panda Express. I used to eat Panda Express 4 times a week. Shoot. Sorry, guys. I thought there were 2 outs there. I could have turned a double play, and I threw it to first because I didn't know how many outs there were. This is great, actually. This shows right here. I'm learning something. I just learned something. When I'm coaching and something happens, and I'm just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, a player forgets to cover a bag on a steal or forgets to turn 2 because they don't know how many outs there are. I'm always like, how the hell do you not know how many outs there are? Like, I'm coaching the game, and I know how many outs there are every second of the game. And I just realized, I didn't just realize, but, I just had an example of that right there. I'm preoccupied thinking about something else, not focused on the game, and I don't know how many outs there are, and I don't turn a double play. And that's probably exactly, who knows what some of the players are thinking about, but there it was right there. Yeah, so no Panda Express for me. Ever since I got out of playing, and my wife is like, she has kind of rubbed off on me now. She's very health conscious. I was very not health conscious when I was pretty much my whole life. So hold on one second, guys. Let me decide who I want to beat here. Do I want to beat the Yankees? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's take out the Nationals. So yeah, she's very health conscious. I used to eat like absolute crap. I don't eat fast food anymore. Like I haven't had like McDonald's or any of that stuff, and uh, I don't know the last time. Like I used to eat that stuff, Panda Express, McDonald's, all that, all the time, and I just don't do it anymore. Some of it is I'm getting old and like my stomach can't handle it anymore, but a lot of it is if I ever think about eating it, Laura says, "Do you know that those chicken nuggets have chloride, peptide, whatever?" I don't know any of the words that she says, but she's like, "Do you know what's in there?" And so she's kind of like scared me from eating it. So yeah, I haven't had Panda Express in a long time. What do I think about AI being set to take over baseball? I don't know. I mean, AI is taking over a little bit of everything. So I'll be interested to see how exactly it takes over. Yeah, so I'll say this, guys. Someone just talked about how the Dodgers and Cubs just played, and now we've got to wait how many more days? 9 more days for opening day. What was the purpose of that? I understand they're playing far away, so like you know, I guess give them some time to get back and get acclimated again and all that stuff. But like first, what time were the games at? I didn't see any of the games. I checked the box score, but I didn't even see the games. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know they were playing. And then I saw that they were playing, and I was like, is this an exhibition game? Is this a real game? I don't know. Now, I've been really busy and, with Antonelli baseball, trying to get ready for the season. So I'm not paying attention that much. But I also just thought the regular season started at like, around the end of March. So I had no idea. So I don't understand exactly like the time frame and why they did it the way they did it. It's interesting. I also got to turn these lights down here a little bit, but I don't want to move. But it's like I don't know why it's like 1,000 degrees down here. I don't know if it's because these lights are on me. I might get up and turn the lights off in a second. We'll see. Is Antonelli baseball going to have a softball team in the future? People have been asking for softball teams for a long time. We've got 15 baseball teams right now, and that basically takes over my life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I don't know if we're going to have softball teams in the future. Oh, we're going to send them home. There we go. I'll trade that. Okay, let's see. Hello. What's going on? I appreciate that, Eric West. Thank you for watching. And your son. How do you fix an arm swing? That's a great question. I was actually talking to my son about it today because I felt like he was using like a lot of body and a lot of arms and like wasn't using his hands. So like, like when you're swinging, if you're just a handsy hitter and you get like real pushy with your hands, you're not going to create a lot of bat speed. But if you have a lot of body and a lot of arms and all this, then it's tough to deliver the barrel on time and tough to be precise with the barrel. And so like when we were hitting tonight, like he had a ton of body. His body was doing this and his arms were there and the barrel was just like it was a sloppy mess. Sorry, I apologize. He's not watching this. He's sleeping. But so it's how do you get rid of that? There's a couple of things. Like you can actually like tell those hitters that they want to be a little bit more handy, like feel their hands getting going, even though you don't really want this move where you're pushing your hands. But if they're like, if the hands never get moving and they're just always behind and they just never catch up, then, you can try to tell them. I was trying to tell Maddie today, like, feel your hands, almost feel like you're like hammering something a little bit more. Now, again, like, this is the whole feel versus real thing. Like, I don't want him to do this, but I'm just exaggerating because he's so much using his body and arms. So that's one way you can do it. You can also take the arms out of it a little bit by, if you've seen our videos, we call it pulling back, but just like getting your rear arm behind your hands and getting your back engaged, and that locks you in right here, so you can't use a whole lot of arms. If you're just kind of like this, then the rear arm can lead, and then the barrel drops and drags, and you get in trouble. So if you want to, I have a bunch of videos online. I don't remember the titles of it, but probably something to do with arms or how to eliminate your arms or something like that on YouTube. I've made some videos on it because it is a big issue. Or you can maybe look up barrel drag. So a lot of times those videos I'll talk about how to stop dragging the barrel or how to eliminate barrel drag and stuff like that. Yeah, so someone said about, my stories of playing. And, nice play right there. So we actually haven't, I haven't really talked to him much about my career. I mean, I'll tell him stories every now and then, but it's an interesting balance that you're trying to when you're talking about like failing, because you don't want to make it to be like, don't worry, buddy, you can fail every time and everything's great, and because like you don't want to go to the plate being like, this game's so hard and it's a game of failure and I'm going to fail and I'm probably going to fail. So, because at that point it's like you have no confidence because you're just like, well, my dad told me that the game's a game of failure and that I'm supposed to fail a lot, because you don't want that. Every time I went to the plate as a player, well, not every time when I was older, but when I was younger, like every time I went to the plate, I expected to hit the ball hard and get a hit. So like I went up there thinking like I'm never getting out. So you got to have that attitude, but then you have to, when you do get out, be able to deal with it. And my son's he almost takes failure sometimes probably too well. Like he doesn't have as much confidence when he's hitting. When he's pitching, he has lots of confidence. When he's hitting, not as much. So Laura was actually, my wife was trying to talk to Maddie a few days ago about it. We were sitting at like the dinner table. I don't know what happened or what he said. Oh, I do remember now. So he had tryouts for Little League, and he thought he did terrible. And I saw him there. Like I thought he looked fine, but he came home, and I went right to Antonelli baseball practice, so I didn't talk to him after the tryouts. But my wife was saying that he came home and he was like, "I did horrible. I stink," and all this stuff, and he didn't, but he thought he did. So apparently my wife gave him the talk, and then she was telling me when we were eating, she was like, I told him, like, you got to be like Daddy. Every time Daddy got to the plate, he thought he was going to get a hit. And little does she know that most of my at-bats in the big leagues, I was like, shit, I'm not getting a hit here. Unfortunately, don't think like that. I'm just kidding. That's not how I thought all the time. Sometimes I felt great at the plate. Sometimes I didn't. Hey, good luck to your nephew. First practice. Do I ever go and watch Cape League games? So I haven't. I have. When's the last time I went to a Cape League game? I'm trying to think. I think probably a couple years ago. It's been a little bit. I got to go this summer. Hard part is it's always hard to get down there because with Antonelli baseball, like we play or practice so much that the summers are just like so hard. But I was lucky. I played 2 summers in the Cape, so, um, I'd love to be able to get my son down there to be able to watch some of the games. But like I said, it's just tough finding time to go down there. I'm traveling so much and coaching so much. Do I think these cheap owners will all of a sudden start spending money? No, I don't think they would unless you put in a floor and force them to. How do you deal with bad high school coaches? It's a great question. I'm trying to think how I want to answer this. Because, like, I consider myself a good coach, but, I guarantee you there are players that have played for me every year in high school that think I'm an idiot, right? Because I didn't play them or I didn't play them at the position they wanted. And so, they probably think I'm a bad high school coach too. Oh, no. Sorry. I made an error. Oh, now I just drilled a guy. Holy crap, Matt! What are you doing? Um, it's a good question, and it's really tough. I think it's I don't know. Like, listen, you get the coach you got, and you gotta figure out how to work with them. So, and I know it can be hard, but I think part of playing baseball is learning how to play for coaches that maybe you don't agree with, maybe you don't think are that good. I've played for so many coaches. Some coaches I love playing for, some coaches I hated playing for. And it's like, you still got to play for them, you know? And so you just got to figure it out. And it's probably good. It's probably a good life lesson, like learning how to deal with people that maybe you don't get along with, you don't see eye to eye with, you just don't gel with, because you're probably going to work for at some point for a boss that, again, same thing. So, um, I wish I had good advice. I played. I've talked a lot about like my college situation, and I went to Wake Forest and played for a coach that I really really liked, and then he left after my freshman year, and I got a coach that I didn't exactly see eye to eye with, and I had to kind of learn how to play for him because he was a much different coach, much more like my freshman year coach was very just let me play, wasn't really on me about stuff, just let me do my thing. And then the new coach I got was like always kind of like up in my face all the time. And I didn't play well with that type of coach, but I kind of had to figure it out. And I'll tell you one thing it does do is that it does make you in the long run kind of a stronger player, because I felt like after I got through that, I never felt like I played for another coach. Like it felt easy to play for all my other coaches after that, because I was like, I've already kind of dealt with a really hard coach to play for. So if I hadn't played for him, maybe I wouldn't have thought that. What's the most NIL money a college player received? I don't know. Uh, I don't even know if that's like public information. I've heard rumors of some of the big time players getting like close to $1 million. I don't know if that's true or not. Down 4-0, second inning, bases loaded, no outs. Coach calls for the entire infield on the grass. Well, um, he's either going to look like a genius and turn a double play at home and to first, or he's going to lead to a huge inning and the game's going to be over right there. Yeah, that's interesting about the A's spending that money knowing that they're going to get so much back in revenue sharing. Buxton making his way over for the catch. And I won. Matt, what is it like playing in the Rays Stadium, and how bad is the building? So, the Rays Stadium to me, I would describe it as like feeling like not a baseball field. It felt almost like I was there for like a dirt bike rally or something. I don't know. I don't know why I always say that. It just felt like it felt more like, yeah, like I was there for like a monster truck event or dirt bikes. I don't know why I always say that, but that's kind of what it felt like. Let's see what else we got. Chipotle is the best fast food. I do like Chipotle. Yeah, I'm a Chipotle fan. Let's see. We're going to go up here and try to beat the Red Sox right there. I'm doing a little conquest on Diamond Dynasty. Longer spring training to prevent injuries. Well, I'll give you my perspective on this because I've been like 7 or 8 spring trainings. Spring training, big league spring training is long. I don't think any players want it to be any longer. Most players that I've played with, every player that I've played with wants to get the hell out of there. So, um, yeah, most guys don't want it. The pitchers need it to be a little longer because they need to get their arms ready. But honestly, like they come in early, and nowadays, like most guys are throwing before they get there. You know, no matter what part of the country you're from now, there's facilities everywhere, and guys are, in my opinion, they're ready. So I think that most players, like I said, want to get the hell out of spring training. I hope AI or Tesla robots take over the home plate humps. I just made a video on Jazz Chisholm. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I put a video up today about it. How he like challenged the play and just jogged the first. Like he knew it was a ball and it was like 1.9 inches off the plate or low. He did it in style though. So MLB made 35 million from the Japanese sponsors. I get that, but why did they play it so early? Like why'd they have to do it this early? And I know the travel makes it difficult, but like, like the NFL, and I guess there's only one game a week in the NFL, so it's a little bit different, but it is weird to me. Like now they have to come back and now not play. Like the season doesn't start still for another, what, 9, 10 days? I get why they're going to want to go over there and play, especially with the teams that went over that have so many Japanese players. The manager favors his own son and assistant coach's son. So, yeah, I'll say this. In my experience, 96.2% of, I made that number up, of parents that coach their kids are probably going to favor their kids in some way. So that's just the way it is. Um, so as long as there's not like seven assistant coaches that all have kids in the team, then you should be okay. I'll say people might not agree with me, but I will say one thing that I think I do a pretty good job of not favoring my son. If anything, I'm the opposite. Like last year, he gets so pissed because I wouldn't pitch him very much, and like I hit him last a lot, and like he gets kind of mad at that. But and listen, if he deserved to hit 3, then I would have hit him 3. But he didn't he didn't deserve to hit it, so I hit him last a lot. And I don't know, like if he thought that I was gonna hit him higher in the order because is my son, but Pick the ball up, Sammy. Throw the ball home. But yeah, so I guess that's all I'll say on that. Not every dad is like that. One thing I'll say is we've had a couple of dads coach with Antonelli baseball, and I think one thing I try to do as a dad coach is that, like, if someone's watching the game from the outside, I don't want them to know who my son is. It makes it difficult because his name's on the back of the jersey, but like I always feel like if someone can watch the game and be like, oh, his son, I know his son's right there, then I'm not probably doing a good job of coaching. Either I'm favoring him too much, I'm only coaching him, like, and I can see I coach a lot of games at the youth level, and so you can see it a lot. You can be like, okay, that's got to be the coach's son. Just because they talk to them differently or talk to them more or play him in the same position every time, and you're looking out there and you're like, yeah, I feel like he shouldn't be playing there. So that's one thing that I try not to do, or I try to do, is I don't want anyone to know that I have a son on the team. And we've been lucky, the coaches, and if you can't do that, then you're not going to coach with us. Hold on. Why is it telling me it wants a pinch runner? I'm not pinch running. So, because some programs feel like we don't have dad coaches, but the thing is, there's a lot of dads out there that are great coaches. They just happen to have sons that play, but they're great coaches, and I want them in the program. And again, we've been lucky where if I go to the game, same thing. I can't tell who their son is because they do a really good job of that. At what level should you train a player to be a switch hitter? So I've never trained a player to be a switch hitter before, personally. Oh, Laura's texting me. What does she want? No, she's sending me Instagram reels or something. So I've never trained a player to be a switch hitter before. We do have a few switch hitters that have played in our program, and I just hit a home run with Matt Olson. But I've never trained someone to do it. I just think it's really hard. Like, it's so hard to hit from one side of the plate that I haven't tried to make anyone a switch hitter. All right, I appreciate it. It's Trenton. Is that what that says? It's hard for me to see. I appreciate that. Yeah, Spider-Man. If you guys don't know what the Spider-Man is on bus trips, just type in like Matt Antonelli Spider-Man or Spider-Man bus or something like that, and you'll see what the Spider-Man is. Yeah, failing 7 out of 10 times means you're good. I agree. No, so our Maddie has not started his tournament season yet. Our first game is April 4th or 5th. Whatever that first Saturday is in April, that's our first game. So we got doubleheader Saturday, doubleheader Sunday. We do play in some tournaments, but we play in a league where play mostly 2 doubleheaders, or I should say doubleheader on Saturday and then doubleheader on Sunday every weekend. What do I think of ABS? So I've actually liked ABS so far. It's amazing. And I haven't watched a ton of spring training games, but I've watched some. And it's crazy. Like, I was watching the Yankees Twins game, and it was like challenge, 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 challenge. And it was like, and anyone that challenged was right, except Garrett Cole one time wasn't right. But he even said in the post-game interview, he was like, I knew that I wasn't right, but I wanted to do it anyway just to see like how wrong I was or how off the computer was compared to my brain. So I like the system. I think it works well. I think it works fast. And just the one game I saw, it saved a lot of calls. And I was talking about that Jazz Chisholm play that I put up on YouTube, and it's 3-2, and that's the difference between strike three and not a strike three. And it was almost 2 inches off the plate, or 1.9 inches, and Jazz knew right away. And he got called out, and then they challenge, and he gets put on first. That's huge for a hitter. So, and it went really quickly. So I like it, and I think it will be in the game soon enough. I need to add Clint Hurdle's book to the shelf back there, sir. I do not have that book, but I have a lot of books, so I like to read. This is probably like 1/1000th of my book collection, but I'll have to look up that book. I have not read that book yet. Let's see here. Oh, I missed a lot of questions. Whoa, hold on. I have played in Nashville, North Carolina. I've been pretty much everywhere. Kind of like that. I don't know why that song. I've been everywhere, man. Yeah, that song. I feel like if you play professional baseball long enough, I feel like you've been everywhere. Patriots question. So I'll give my opinion on the Patriots quick, because if you have watched this channel before, you know I'm a huge Patriots fan, even though they've been absolutely brutal the last couple of years. So I think they've done a really good job in free agency. I like the moves they've made on defense. They have not made many moves on offense. So I would have really liked the number one wide receiver. I'm sure everyone would have. I would really like a left tackle. I like a left guard too. So, but I've been happy with the defense. My goal, I'll give you my football take real quick. I don't want to talk too long about it, but I literally, just so you know, baseball is a huge passion of mine and football is a huge passion of mine. I literally, after free agency, when we signed all those defenders, I took a 30-minute shower. Laura always yells at me for taking too long showers, but I was going through my head and going through all the different types of defenses we can run given our new team, and I was putting together what my base defense would be, what my what our nickel defense would look like, what I do on third down. And hold on, I gotta put in a bullpen arm here. We're gonna go with Devin Williams. So if I were gonna build a football team, a defense, I'd basically build it the way the Eagles played against the Chiefs. That's the way I would build it. I want 4 defensive linemen that can rush the passer. I want to play with 2 deep safeties, but I can do different things with it. So I can play 2 deep. You can play anything. Cover 2, you can play cover 4, you can drop a guy down, you can do all types of things. But I essentially want to be able to rush 4 and play 2 deep safeties and make the defense not give them anything over the top and make them just grind their way down the field. But because I don't have to blitz, I should be able to cover well, and I'm going to eventually get to you and sack you. And I mean, the Eagles' defensive line was just ridiculous and just overpowered the Chiefs, but that's the way I would build a team. I know that's easier said than done. Everyone wants that, but so yeah, I want 4 defensive linemen that can rush the passer. I would keep signing them. I would keep drafting them. That's where I'd start building the team. And then obviously the Eagles have a great offensive line. The Patriots have a terrible one. So what do I think is going to happen real quick? I think that the Patriots defense is much improved. I like the defense. I think with Davis and Gonzalez at corner, I think you can play man to man. And those are two really, really good corners. I think Marcus Jones in the slot is good. And I think that the pass rush is much better with Milton Williams. And we'll see how Harold Landry does. And hopefully Barmore comes back healthy so he can rush from the inside with Williams. And then, oh man, as far as the draft, and this will be all talk about football, as far as the draft, I'm super interested to see what happens with this draft because I really hope that it goes quarterback. And then if it doesn't, I need 2 quarterbacks to go in the top 3. I need someone that wants Shador bad because then that guarantees us either a great pass rusher or we can take Travis Hunter. So that's what I'm hoping for. Let's see. Wow, it's already 10:30. If everyone could give this video a thumbs up, that would be great. Or give it a like. I always call it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Oh, Adam has a great question. Why does it take someone else saying the exact same thing for your kid to believe the thing that you've been saying for months in practice? Okay, so usually, well, here's the interesting thing, and I don't know what age this happens at because my son listens to anything I say when it comes to baseball. Now, when I'm at home, he doesn't listen to shit. I just yell at him all night because my wife and I were just like, get in the shower, 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 brush your teeth, brush it. That's what our days are like with him. But on the field at baseball, anything I say, he does. It's really strange. He has 2 personalities. He has his athletic personality when he's playing a sport, and he has his home personality. At home, he don't listen to anything. It's a real problem. On the field, he'll listen to anything I say to him. So, we were at the field today and we were talking and we just talked about his ball flight. And I was telling him I'm like, dude, you're hitting everything in the air to left field. He's a lefty. I'm like, you're hitting everything in the air to left field and on the ground to right field. I'm like, you want to flip that. I'm like, you want to hit the ball in the air to the pull side and then to the opposite field, you want to hit it with a lower launch angle, more line drives. And I don't even care if you had a hard ground ball at the opposite field. And so we were talking about that and he was listening to everything. And then he was like, okay, how do I do that? And we started talking about his bat path and blah, blah, blah. And then in games, anything I tell him, if I say get on the plate, he'll get on the plate. If I tell him to get off the plate, he'll get off the plate. If I tell him to look for this pitch, hit the ball, he'll do anything I say. So I don't know when that's going to stop. I'm sure there's going to come a point where he's like, F you, Dad. You don't know what you're talking about. I think. I don't know. Maybe just because I played, even though it wasn't for very long, I played at the major league level, that maybe he'll just say, well, he must know because he played baseball at a high level. He might not. I don't know. He might still say, no, Dad, you're an idiot and the game has passed you by and you don't know what you're talking about. So when we come to that point, we'll figure it out. But why, to answer your question, why do most kids not listen to their dads? I think it's just because they listen to them all the time and they just eventually tune them out at a certain age. So I think they probably just hear it and hear it and hear it. I mean, my dad said the same thing. I remember I called him from college and I said oh, my coach said this to me today about my swing and I did it. And then all of a sudden I was smashing balls all over the place. I remember my dad was like, I've been telling you that same thing for the last 2 months and you never listened to me. And now your coach says it and all of a sudden you do it. And now, your coach is a genius. So, I mean, I guess that's just a father-son thing. Was I pro Marlins practice squad idea? Yeah. So, I haven't looked into it yet. I saw that they're having some type of practice squad for their one of their low minor teams. I got to look more again. I got to look more into that. But what I'm assuming is it's just a team for them to be able to practice against more often to get more reps. So yeah, I guess I'm for that. But again, like I said, I got to look more into it. Like it's got to be a good team. I don't want to be playing like a crappy team every day. Oh, the exploding star YouTube intro. That was a long time ago. That's like going in the way way back machine. That was that the exploding star intro. Was that even before the dun 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 dun? Dun. What about that one? That's the one. That's the one that I got rid of. That was a great intro, by the way. I see so many people that either say, "Hey, what's going on, guys? Matt Antonelli here." Like a lot of people say that to me, or a lot of people will just be like, "Dun dun 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 dun," and they'll play that intro song. One of my favorite things is when I go to a tournament anywhere and like the other team sees me. They don't know my name. They don't know anything. They just say, "Hey, you're that YouTube guy." That's what they say. And everyone thinks it. The funny thing is, everyone thinks it's like so crazy. Like when we go play someplace and someone says that, and like like our kids on our team are always like, "Coach, the other team knows who you are." I'm like, "Yes, they do from YouTube." They always act amazed. Tommy Edman's father coached him in high school and was extra hard on him. Yeah, I think I don't know if I'm extra hard on I'm not extra hard on my son. Like when we coach, like I feel like I coach everyone the same. Now, I do feel like in certain situations cuz I know like we talk about it like if I know he can handle a good amount and he's a pretty smart player, so I may give him more. But I don't feel like I'm harder on him than the other kids. He's also only 10. Like I coached him last year as a 9-year old. So it's like, how hard can you be on a 9-year old? Like I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like the psycho dad that, and I'm really not wired that way. So I guess it's easy for me to do that. So when he's in high school, it'll be interesting to see how my views change as he gets older, as I can coach him a little bit harder. How is that ball caught? I just perfect the ball with Matt Olson into the gap. Hold on. Perfect. Let me see how hard I hit this ball. 101 mile an hour, perfect in the gap. And the guy makes a running catch up against the wall. You have hitting tryouts coming up. Yeah, I wouldn't give any different advice than what I said earlier. It's like just you've worked hard in your swing, like just trust it. Trust your swing. Just um try to hit some hard line drives like middle of the field, big part of the field. What suggestions would I give your 12-year-old son to find a hitting coach? Well, when you're looking for a hitting coach, I think you want to find someone obviously that's knowledgeable, someone that you agree with what they're talking about. I think it's important, like, so when I'm looking at different hitting coaches, and again, I'm not looking for one for myself or my son, but like when I'm looking at different hitting coaches, I already have like I've done a lot of research and I have a good understanding of the swing, but like still when I'm listening to people like if you don't know the hard part is if you don't know anything about the swing, then I guess everything sounds good. Um, and so it's a good question. I feel like you want to find someone obviously that's knowledgeable, that you agree with, that their personality and your son's personality like they work together well. Um, I think you also want to make sure that, like, when you're going to a coach, that you are making improvements. So, like, finding a way to identify or measure or track that you are actually improving without just saying, like, I think I'm improving. I see a lot of people that like go to the same hitting coach for like 7 years and they don't look like they've gotten any better. But they're like, well, I've always gone to this hitting coach. So it's easier to do now with technology. Like, we use hit tracks, we use blast motion, we use video. Oh, I got a super chat. Hold on. Meatloaf. Thank you so much for the super chat, Meatloaf. Would you send your kid to the DR for coaching? Um, no, I personally wouldn't send my son to the DR for coaching. I do think that there's plenty of great coaches out there, but I don't think I need to send my son there. So, and honestly, I've never been to the DR. I've played with tons of great players from the DR. I've had great coaches from the DR. I've never been there. I don't know if you need to go to the DR to find something that you can't find here. I mean, what I think is good about the DR is that the weather's great and they play a lot of baseball. Higgins, Chase, Burrow, best trio ever. It's a pretty darn good trio. I don't know if it's the best ever. That's a bold statement, but uh, I think that it is a very good trio. You've got maybe the best wide receiver in the league. You have another wide receiver that's like a top 10 to 15 receiver in the league. And you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, and T. Higgins, thank you, sir, for helping me win my fantasy championship this year. Because in the championship game, he went for 3 touchdowns against, who was it? The Broncos, maybe? T was a huge pickup for me. Like, I drafted him. I drafted him somewhat late, not like late, but like he had been hurt so much the year before, and people were down on him. And I've always liked T. Higgins. When T. Higgins is on the field, he's a stud. The question is, can he be on the field? But I felt like he had dropped enough in the draft where I was like, okay, the risk is worth the reward at this point, and it was. My card is on eBay, BGS 9.5 20 or 2006 Bowman Draft Chrome. I have that card. It's actually it's in my son's room right now. $42 or best offer. It's not bad. Sammy, slamming Sammy just went deep. Gone. It's my first year of high school ball, and I feel more uncomfortable playing than ever before. So, yeah, I think, what's the reason for that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's just a new level. Maybe you're a little nervous. Like, I don't think it's, that's happened to me plenty of times. New atmosphere, new level, new teammates, new whatever. It's, it's not, uh, it's not strange to feel uncomfortable. So I think that the way to really deal with it is just to accept the fact that you're probably not the only one feeling uncomfortable, and just keep doing your thing and playing. Like, I switched teams a lot in my career, And, whether it was like you play college ball and then you got to go play in like the Cape Cod League with new teammates in a new league, or you're playing in pro ball and you get traded or you get designated, you get picked up, you're released, you get picked up by a new team. Like every place, I never walked into a place and been like, ooh, like first day, never walked in and be like, I feel really comfortable right now. Like it's always uncomfortable. And sometimes you start off hot and it makes it easier. You start off really well and people are like, damn, this guy's really good. And then you feel great. Sometimes you start off slow and then, you're like, oh, I feel even more uncomfortable. And so, how do you get out of all those situations? You just keep playing. Like, I wish there was like something special to tell you, but you go back to like, what have you done your whole career that's made you a good player, and just go back to doing that and don't focus on all the other stuff. Hey, MG Showtime. I appreciate that. You saw me at the Futures game at Fenway. That was a great day for me. I enjoyed playing there. I remember that day like it was yesterday, and that was a long time ago. That was in 2011, but I can tell you my first at bat, I hit a line rocket over the shortstop's head for a single. And then I had another hit. I hit a double off the base of the monster. That was a fun game. Leader of a good team with friends and work individually to be a leader. Join the elite team out of town. Um, at 10 years old, I honestly don't think it matters. It's like, so my son does both. So he does town ball and he does travel ball. I don't know if that's a possibility, but like, yeah, he does both because, um, well, he wants to. He wants to play with his friends, and he also wants to play. Um, he wants to play travel ball, so I let him do both. What are my thoughts on Trotsky fielding and Meg Rem softball? Well, interesting point. Meg Rem softball actually is the daughter of my college coach. So um, I haven't watched as much of her videos just because I'm not a softball coach. But from what I've seen, she looks like she does a really, really good job. The one thing about my college coach was he was a good infield guy, and she seems like she's a very good fielding coach. So I haven't watched enough of her videos, but she does seem like she is very good. And then Trotsky's excellent. So um, I've talked to Nate a bunch at the ABCA, and I've watched his videos, and we are. Well, I'll say this: I am a fan of how he coaches. I'm a fan of almost everything he says. Even from the ABCA, when I was watching him talk, I learned new things from him all the time. And so I mentioned earlier, like a lot of the things that I learned during my coach or during my career, like I've taken bits and pieces of things that I have found useful, and I use all of it. And all the best infield coaches that I've had, they Trotsky talks a lot about all of those things, and then he talks about even more things that I never even thought of or never even heard from those coaches. So, I learned a lot. I had so many infield coaches, but a couple coaches that I learned a ton from. Perry Hill was one that I learned a lot from. I I thought he was I do think he's one of the best infield coaches around. So I learned a ton from Perry Hill, and also worked with other coaches that had worked with Perry previously, and so they taught a lot of what he taught, and so I learned that. So he was probably like the first huge influence on me. There was a coach from Washington. I can't even remember his name. I think it was like Stubby. Um, and I never worked with him, but I someone gave me his like coaching tapes, and they were awesome. I learned a ton from him, and then Trotsky learned a lot from him as well. So yeah, he's really good. Yeah, so MSM Liars talking about how you've coached your son for 5 years. This is the first year that you're not coaching him, and it's much better for him to work with other coaches. So, that's one thing that I do like. Like, I like my son getting coached by other coaches. So, like in basketball, like I don't coach basketball. I don't coach like him in basketball. I don't coach him in football. I don't coach him in town baseball. They asked me to assist last year a little bit, and I had high school, so I wasn't there all the time. I'd be there sometimes, but like I want him to be able to co-play. It's cool that he can play for me, and that I can coach him, and that's fun. But like I also want him to be able to play for other people because I'm not always going to coach him. And like sometimes people ask me to coach other sports that he plays, and like I don't want to. I mean, I don't mind helping out, but I want him to hear other voices other than my voice. Like I want him to be able to learn how to play for a football coach and a basketball coach and, even another baseball coach. So, can you convince a kid to play baseball that has ball skills? So like, you know, I don't I don't know. I don't think I've ever taken a non-baseball player and tried to convince them to play baseball. So it's hard to say. I'm sure you can. I mean, I was convinced when I was younger to play soccer when I was uh not really a soccer player. They convinced me to play goalie because they said I had such good hands and reflexes and athleticism that I'd be a really good goalie. And I knew nothing about uh being a goalie. But they convinced me, and I played, and I had fun. So yeah, I'm sure you could convince. I don't know how. Baseball is it's an acquired skill. So if they dedicate themselves, then I'm sure they'll be fine. But yeah, they have to enjoy it. They have to want to do it. Like baseball is an interesting sport because a lot of people would be like, well, "Baseball's boring. I don't like baseball." Like so many kids, baseball is so boring. I find baseball like amazing. Like I love baseball. Um, I don't find baseball boring at all. I think if you really understand the game, then baseball is not boring. I say this all the time. Like when I'm coaching a game, especially a high school game, I am so locked in to every second of the game. I really get like lost in the game when I'm coaching. And my brain, this is how I know how locked in I am, is that after a baseball game, a high school baseball game, when I get home, I can't do anything. And I usually fall asleep like really early, like I just pass out because my brain is on hyperdrive for that 2 hour to 2.5 hour game that when it's over, I just pass out. Like I'm mentally, I'm not physically exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. That's how much I'm into the game. So like, yeah, baseball is like the furthest thing from boring for me. But other people, some people think it's the most boring game ever. Your middle school coach loved me. I appreciate that. I'm the goat. All right, thanks, Anthony. In the major leagues, did any players ever rage out or get extremely angry at themselves, or were they professional about it? No, no, no. I've seen players go absolutely bananas. Like I've seen players smash water bottles, take bats to. I'll tell you this quick story. This isn't the major league story, but it's a professional story. In single A with the Padres in Fort Wayne, we had like a bicycle, like a stationary bike in the corner of the shower of the clubhouse with a bat there. And it was there so that when players got pissed off, they could go back and take the bat and beat the ever living hell out of the bike. And I saw plenty of people do it. So yeah, and I've seen that in the minor leagues. I've seen the major leagues guys just go crazy. So, I mean, it's very frustrating. And like I said, no matter how much you say, like, you got to be able to deal with failure, there's always, everybody snaps at some point. Like I've snapped, and I'm pretty calm, and I've snapped. And I've seen a lot of other players snap. So the goal is, like, you got to try to stay as even keeled as possible, but nobody's perfect. I've seen pretty much everybody lose their mind at some point. That's the same. I think MSM, you just said that your son loves it, loves practicing, loves playing, all that stuff, but doesn't watch it on TV. I believe you're talking about baseball. If you are, my son's the same way. My son will not watch a baseball game on TV, or very rarely. If he does, he'll get bored after a while. So, and if you ask him, he'll always say, I love baseball, I love playing it, I love practicing it, I don't like watching it. He always says it's boring to watch. So, but then he'll play MLB The Show. Like, he played that a bunch today, and he'll play it all the time. So, Sosa just hit another homer. See you later. But he'll watch football. He loves and I love watching. I could sit down. If I wasn't a baseball coach, I'd be a football coach. The only thing about football is, like, you got to kind of, if you want to be a football coach, you got to almost, like, dedicate your life to it. Like, you got to be in the office, like, studying film 24/7. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Laura would definitely kill me. But yeah, football, I can watch football all day long. I can watch, like, on Sundays, I can watch the 1 o'clock. If there's a London game going on, if there's a game in London, I can watch the 10 o'clock London game, and then the 9:30 London game, and then the 1 o'clock game, and then the 4:25 game, and then the 8:30 game. And, like, I could watch all those and still want to keep watching football afterwards. I do not play slow pitch softball or anything. I don't play men's league. I don't the last time I played a game in professional baseball was the last time I played. I have played in a couple of, like, charity games to raise money for different causes, but but that's it, like a handful of those. But I won't go play a pickup game. I won't do any of that stuff. I don't do it for a few reasons. One, I have a really bad wrist. I had 3 wrist surgeries, and my wrist kills when I try to swing fast. And 2, I can't do anything. It's really hard for me to do stuff if I'm not going to do it really well. So, like, I can't just go have fun and play. Like, if I was going to play in a men's league, I'd be practicing, 5 days a week. I'd be lifting weights. I'd be back to, like, I was playing pro ball, and Lara would probably have to be like, dude, like, you're playing with guys with bare guts, and, like, you don't need to do this. But yes, I do. So that's my problem. And that's why I've never done it, because I'm just like, I don't have time to put that much time into it. It's like why I can't, like, golf for fun. 1, my wrist. 2, if I golfed, I'd have to golf like 7 days a week. I can't just do it and be bad at it. That would drive me insane. Adam asking a question about Joe Mauer hitting the ball oppo against the shift. Was he doing it on purpose or just late? I don't know. We probably have to ask him. But I know guys like Tony Gwynn. Like, I've heard Tony Gwynn say that, and I've heard other people say it as well. Like, Tony would be like, they're going to pitch me here, and I'm going to hit a line drive through the hole over there because there's going to be a hole, and he would do it. And I've played guys with like really great back control. I mean, it's amazing to be able to do that. Um, I actually, speaking of my college coach, I remember I actually got really pissed at him one time because um, he said he got mad at me. Like I lined out one time, and he told me he got mad that I lined out, and he was basically like, "Don't hit the ball at the fielders," like. And I was like, "How the hell do you not hit the ball at the fielders? Like I'm just trying to hit the ball hard. I don't. No one's good enough to stare the ball away from the fielders." Um, he also told me that I could will my way to get hits, and I mean, I'm sure there's some people that believe that, but I mean, I feel like I've played long enough and I've wanted to get hit so badly. And yeah, no matter how bad I want to get a hit, like I can't, if you could will your way to hits, I'd hit 1,000. So my guess is that he had really good back control. He had a natural swing that kind of allowed him to hit the ball there. I don't know if he purposely was like, I'm going to put the ball over there because they're shifted over here. But I think there is probably a willingness where he said, I'm going to hit it where I'm pitched. And if they're going to pitch me away, I'll hit it over there. And then, extreme back control and hand-eye coordination to be able to do that. Like Joe Mauer was such a amazing, just like natural hitter. What's my opinion of HLP? Do you use it in your training? So I get asked that a decent amount. I don't know exactly what HLP is. Like I've seen stuff online, but if you said like describe it, I don't exactly know how I would describe it. So I guess I would say no. I'm not a. How did you word it? Oh, do I use it in my training? I've used stuff from everyone, but so I guess I've used some stuff from that, but I don't exactly know everything about it. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's see. Henry, you asked about having a son playing baseball. How do you balance having fun during training versus working on fundamentals? I do both. So I always try to make it a game or a competition, but then also can talk about the fundamentals at the same time. So that's what I try to do. One way we can make it competitive. I have a hit tracks. So like we can see how hard he hits every ball and we get all these numbers. And so like you can just make up games and so it's just combining the two of them. Like, okay, we're going to try to do this. Like this round might be like, hey, we're going to try to hit a ball 65 plus miles an hour. And then, oh my Lord, Santander, that was the worst jump I've ever seen. So like, yeah, I use the numbers because he's competitive. But then I'm also instructing and working on fundamentals at the same time. Let's see what else we have. How cool was it meeting Tony Gwynn? Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it's always a little bit intimidating to meet some of these. Geez, Devers. What kind of range was that? That was literally, DJ LeMahieu just hit a 74 mile an hour exit speed ground ball to Devers. That wasn't even a step and a dive. And he didn't get there. And it got down the line. Come on. All right, I got to go to the bullpen. They just tied the game on me. Yeah, so meeting Tony Gwynn was great. I got to meet a lot of legends, which was really cool. Like a lot of Hall of Famers I got to meet while I was playing. And, I'm naturally introverted, naturally pretty shy, not extremely outgoing. I don't know how many other words I can use to say that I'm not going to strike up conversations with people that I don't know. No, throw it to second. Got him. Oh, great play, Buxton. So when I talked to Tony and he talked to me about hitting, like I was like so nervous and didn't know what to say to him that I just kind of, I probably didn't take advantage of the opportunity as much as I could have. Whereas nowadays, like I've gotten a lot older, I feel more comfortable around everybody, and I would have probably asked a lot more questions and talked a lot more with them. Meatloaf, thank you again for the super chat. Donaldson method swinging set kids up for failure. No, I don't think that's the case. So listen, Donaldson was really big. So Donaldson, like, let's just try to go back to that time. So what Donaldson was big on, what, swinging more up through the ball, which is what actually happens, right? Like, so everybody's bat is going to work slightly up through the ball. If you look at the blast motion data, Donaldson had a little bit bigger moves, bigger leg kick, used his body a little bit more, like had a lot of like separation between lower and upper half. And it really worked for him. And so I think the important thing is, like, I'm sure that probably actually helped players, but it also probably hurt players. So like players that already were a little bit sloppy, a little bit armsy, barrel was kind of like dragging, maybe needed a little bit more hands involved. He probably wasn't a great player for them to like model their game after, or his swing to model after. But, players that were really pushy with their hands, that were really steep to the ball, Donaldson probably helped those players. So it's really about what you need. So like if I have a player, again, if you have a player that's too uphill on the ball, right, swinging way up, and then they hear Donaldson saying that you've got to really, I heard him one time say, if a coach ever tells you to hit a ground ball, tell him no or something like that, which worked for him. But if you're like really up, already naturally up, like trying to be more up, it's not going to help you. So I'll give you a little example. So my son, and I've told this story once before. So I was away in Georgia last summer. My son was playing like All-Stars or whatever. And my wife, and she doesn't ever do this, but she called me and said, I don't know what Maddie's doing, but he's hitting and his swing looks horrible right now. Like horrible. She's like, you have to help him. And I'm like, I'm in Georgia. Like, what am I going to do? And she's like, I don't know, but help him. So I was like, put it on FaceTime quick and just point it at the plate and let me see his next at bat. So like she put it on FaceTime and he was so late with everything. So I said to her, she's like, what do I do? What can you do? And I don't actually ever recommend like going down and talking to your kids. If I was a coach, I'd be mad and I'd be like, yeah, don't talk to your parents. But during the game, but I said to her, just go down there. And I said, tell him next at bat, I want him to hit a hard ground ball in the 4-hole towards the second baseman. I'm like, hit a hard ground ball in that hole. And she was like, okay. She had no idea. So she apparently ran down and told him. The next at bat, he came up and he hit an absolute piss rocket line shot in the gap for like a double or a triple or something. And then like everyone thought it was like, they were like, oh, Lars, a genius. So I told him to hit a hard ground ball in the 4-hole, not because I think that's like what every player needs to do or that's a secret. That's what he needed, because I needed him to get ready early. I needed him to hit the ball out in front more. And he has a natural tendency sometimes to like lose the barrel. So I wanted him to feel a little bit more on top of the ball. So like, that's what I told him to do in that situation after watching swing. But like another player could come up and I might tell them the exact opposite. I might be like, if she had been like, Jimmy can't hit right now, and I saw Jimmy swing and he was like flying off the ball, pulling out whatever, I might have said like, go down there and tell him he needs to think about driving a ball in the opposite field. Like I might have told him the exact opposite thing. So that's why it's hard to really tell. Everybody needs something different. Not everybody. Some people need the same thing, but. Yes, it's not cookie cutter. I would that exactly. It's not cookie cutter. You can't just like coach every player the same. You can't tell them all the same stuff. Um, and just like I had to tell them that game, like there might be another game a week later where I might have to tell them something different because swings change over time too. Now I think everyone has their like natural tendencies. I know like for me, when I'm struggling, I know what I typically do. And for him, when he's struggling, I know what he typically does. But sometimes, you know, plenty of times in my career, I'll be hitting and I'm like, where the hell did this swing come from? Like, I don't know. I just woke up this morning and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like, I've never done this before. That happens in baseball. So, hey, I appreciate that, Wallace. Thank you. And I'm glad that I could help. Let's see. Would I rather recruit JUCO guys that are ready to play right away or high school guys who aren't but have a higher ceiling? I think it depends on where you're coaching. I think it depends on what you currently have for a roster. Like if you're a team that's like a player away, 2 players away, you need a plug and play player right away. Like a JUCO guy could make sense. If you're a team that maybe is like a long ways away, like we need a lot of guys, man. Like we're not like we struggled. Maybe an influx of like higher ceiling high school guys coming in, getting in early, like maybe that's more the route. I think it just depends on what you need. Like same thing. Like I don't think there's it's tough to say without like really seeing the team and knowing exactly. Oh, there's my foot again. Without knowing what the team needs. But I would say in general in today's game, like yeah, a JUCO guy is typically going to bring you success quicker. But like you said, maybe the high school guy's a little higher ceiling. But the hard part also is like, you bring a high school guy in. If you don't think that he can play right away, especially in today's game with the transfer portal, are they going to come in and if they don't play, they're going to bounce and leave? Right. So, like, there's a lot of things that you have to weigh now as a coach. All right, everyone. My back I'm in excruciating pain right now. Like, I cannot get comfortable. And I think the only option is going to be to literally go to sleep, lay down, and go to bed. So I appreciate everyone hanging out. If you could all give like the video again before you leave, that would be awesome. And that is, excuse me, all I have. Thanks again. I'll try to do this. I'll probably try to do these lives more often. Sorry, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I got the hiccups. I'll probably try to do these lives more often because I can play a little bit of MLB The Show and I can answer some questions and help everyone out. So, again, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And we will talk to everyone later. And my computer's over there. So I got to walk all the way over there to shut us off. Thanks again. See you guys and girls.